In this video, I'm going to teach you how to play the London system. The London system is one of the easiest to play openings in chess and is played on every level from 200 ELO to World Championship matches. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. In this opening, you have to have the white pieces and you have to play the move d4 first. Your opponent can respond with a few choices, which we will look in detail. These choices are usually knight here, mirroring, going here, or anything else except for a few things. If your opponent plays the England gambit, gappeting this pawn, or plays something like this, the Benoni, you have to look at another video which are on my channel. I have a video for the England gambit which you can look at and other things. But if your opponent plays anything else except for this move, you basically play bishop here. Your opponent can play many moves, but the structure that you want in the London is this. I'll demonstrate it for you. So this is the structure that you're aiming for in the London system. The aim of the London system is to control these two squares in the position. And you do that with pawns and pieces. These squares are controlled by your pieces. For example, this square is controlled by your bishop, your knight, and this pawn. And this square is controlled by the bishop and the knight. And these two squares are the golden squares in the London system. And if you win the battle of these two squares, you will win the game. You want this bishop here, this knight here. You want the pawn pyramid. And you want this bishop in the middle and this knight here instead of its normal square controlling this square. So you can reach this position in a variety of ways. Your opponent can play different move orders, but I'm going to show you a few general ideas in the London system. In the London system, you can play this move order, but I recommend playing this first because now you have a variety of choices and you can play moves like this also if you want. After this, whenever your opponent goes here, by the way, attacking the pawn like this, you never take this pawn at the beginner level. At the advanced level, you can. There are a few ways to play the London system in which you take the pawn and then hang on to the pawn and get a position like this in which you're a pawn up. But that's usually for the advanced level players. And if you're a beginner, I recommend just playing c3. Defending this pawn and forming your pyramid structure. So remember, whenever your opponent goes a move like here, you simply go here and form your own pyramid. If your opponent plays a move like this, you simply continue developing with your knight and you develop your bishop here, you develop your knight here. Another thing is, don't let this bishop get traded off by this knight because this is not a good trade in the London. So after this, if your opponent goes a move like here, you generally want to play this first because if you directly play this, your opponent can go knight here and trade this bishop off. So if the knight is here, remember to play this. If your opponent plays a move like this, just form your own pyramid here too. Another idea in the London system is if your opponent goes something like this and tries to trade this bishop off, never ever take this bishop. Because this is a terrible decision and will just let him develop his queen now. And you'll have nothing here. And this square is up for grabs and your opponent can play moves like maybe this and try to break in, which you do not have to allow. And as you can see, black is better here. So you never take this bishop. Instead, you go here. And the idea is that you want him to take. Because if he takes, you take back with this pawn, opening up your rook. And if he ever castles, you have attacking ideas such as here, attacking this pawn, bringing your queen here, transferring your queen, and ideas like this, destroying his king. In the London, after you have done all of this, you can castle queenside or kingside, but remember, never ever take this bishop. You can also leave your bishop here to die and have this structure. You can play moves like g3, have this solid dark square structure, and then attack here with, for example, castles, put your rook on this file, put your knight here. You can also play like this, but I generally recommend this move, rocking back, because many beginners just snap and then they castle into a roaring attack and they lose the game. And that's how I used to win many of my games when I was a beginner myself. If your opponent ever takes your pawn, you simply take with this pawn and you have a solid structure. You can also take with this pawn. This is also a good option, taking with this pawn if you want to open an attack later. But right now it's a blunder because this bishop is hanging. But if it's not, like here, the position is this. Now you can also take with this pawn and later put your rook on this file and attack. These are all of the opening ideas of the London system. Now let's come to the middle game of the London system. What your opponent can do after and what you have to do after. For example, you have all of these pieces developed. Here, you've got your London structure. You're all castled. Now what? Because now you've got your structure. How will you win the game? I told before that you have to battle for these two squares. And now, in this position, after you've done everything right, you have to plop your knight in the center of the board here. If your opponent, by the way, ever goes a move like this, tries to lock the position up, you're very, very happy. You simply rock your bishop here, and now you're permanently pressuring this diagonal. You have good control of this square. You are simply chilling in this position. You can later play moves like this, maybe to open this file for the rook and attack here, and you have many ideas which you can do later. But what to do in the middle game? If your opponent simply refuses to take this bishop, you can castle or you can plop your own knight in the center. If your opponent takes, you simply take with this, open this file. If your opponent does not take, insists on not taking, you simply, for example, if your opponent plays a move like this, you play, right now you can take the bishop for free, but if your opponent plays a move like this, you simply castle. Now if your opponent takes, take with this pawn again. You can take with this pawn and open your rook up, but this pawn is now very, very weak. And your opponent can play moves like this, targeting your weakness later. Right? Obviously right now it just loses a pawn, but later after playing this move, preparing, he can barrel down. And remember to never lose control of these squares in the London system, because if you lose the control of these squares, you will have a really difficult game. Now, what to do now after you formed your structure? Now you plop your knight in the center of the board with moves like here. You have to prevent black from playing this and you have to plop here. If your opponent takes with the knight, you simply take with the pawn and fork these two pieces and win the game. If your opponent takes with the bishop, you still take with the pawn. You always take with the pawn here because the idea is to remove this knight from the defense of this square. And after this, you play moves like here, coming in, attacking, and you simply win the game. Yeah, so your opponent should not take this. You don't, remember, never play a move like this. Never take this because you'll just simply be helping your opponent by this. You always have to do this. An interesting idea, you can also go f4. This is a really, really good idea. This is called the stonewall structure, and the idea behind going f4 is if black ever takes, you take, and now you have this structure. You also have this open file to attack, so black has to go back. You play moves like this, you attack this pawn, you have good control of this. Black cannot go here because you take, and then play moves like this, destroy black, and black is simply completely lost in position like this. The difference being that if you don't do this, you just simply play moves like this. Black can take, and now you don't have a pawn here, and this file is closed, so you can't attack with the rook. So a good idea in these positions is to go f3, so that if black ever takes, you chop, and then you have a winning position. Remember to always take with the pawn. Taking with the bishop is almost always a bad idea, because if you take with the bishop, the knight simply chills here and you barely have an advantage. Remember, never to allow black to play this move, because right now it's losing because of bishop b5 pinning, because of the weakness of that pawn. But don't allow black to go here, because if black goes here, you will be in great trouble in the London system. All you have to do is to win these two squares in the opening, plop your pieces in these squares in the middle game, and then use the pieces behind your knight to attack. For example, you can go here, In this position, you can go here. And if your opponent doesn't do anything, you can even go here attacking, because if take, now you have a stronger position, you have a strong bishop. Right now, the computer is saying that it's losing because of tactics such as, because of this, the computer thinks that it's losing. But I'm generally telling you the general idea in the position. Obviously, you have to look at other nuances of this position. For example, this knight is right now being ruthlessly attacked. So after you have to look at that, you have to defend the knight first, and then you have to play moves like this. But yeah, that is the general idea. You can play moves like this. If your opponent refuses to take this knight, you can play here, start attacking. Even sometimes you can sacrifice the rook in some positions to open the king up, and maybe play moves like this right now, and threaten checkmate. As you see, the knight is hanging, but black is getting mated and completely lost in positions like this. So the London system is a great opening. You should definitely try it at your level. Magnus Carlsen has won many games at the London. Ding Liren, the world champion, plays the London. The London is an epic opening to play. And if you know these general ideas, you have watched my video and you have subscribed to my channel for more epic future content, you will be winning many of your games with the London system. You'll be crushing players with moves like this, forming the stone wall structure and absolutely crushing your opponents in the games. You can play moves like queen here, attack here. Remember to not do things in the queen side unless your opponent castles queen side. If your opponent castles queen side, obviously you play moves like this, maybe attack here. But generally in the London, your opponent castles king side, and when that happens, you can attack. If you are castled, like even if you're not castled, even if you're castled, I showed you can attack like this, forming the stone wall. This is how you can attack when you're castled. Even if you choose, you can also do something interesting like castling queen side, for example. Here you can castle queen side, here if you want to attack with these pawns, because when you castle king side, you don't use your pawns to attack, because you use this pawn in front of the rook, but you preserve these pawns here because you want these pawns to defend your king. You cannot even castle at all. You can just put your king in the center of the board and play like that. I mean, the varieties in the London system are many. Basically, just play as you like. If you like to castle king side, generally I like to put my king in the center, because right now the king is really safe. Black cannot really open the position up because you have good development. You can play moves like this, flopping your knight here. Black can lock the position up, but that's to your advantage. And yeah, you are the one calling the shots in the London system. And that is all about the London system. I hope you guys enjoyed this video about the London system. I hope you guys learned how to play the London system. Obviously, there are many things in the opening which your opponent can do, which can be a surprise for you. But remember, always, you know the general ideas. If your opponent does anything stupid, simply just continue with your London. And if your opponent makes a mistake, punish him. Control the center squares in the London system. The E4 and E5 square, those are the golden squares in the London. And yeah, subscribe to the channel because I have many great videos like this. If you are an E4 player, you don't play the London, you can watch my Vienna video, which is the best opening up to 2011 for E4 players. So you can watch that and subscribe to the channel. I hope you guys are doing well and epic, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.